In the world of IT, every single day feels like a high wire act. Seriously. On one side, you've got the business, and they're yelling, faster, more features, innovate now. But on the other side, you've got this absolute non-negotiable need to just keep the lights on. You got to keep the system stable, the data safe, and the services reliable. One little misstep, it can be a total disaster. So yeah, welcome to the IT operations tightrope.
And isn't that the truth? I mean, think about it. The IT world today is this incredibly complex web of cloud services, ancient legacy systems that you can't touch, and a constant barrage of security threats. And on top of all that, there's a never-ending demand for new stuff. The job has completely transformed, and believe me, it's only getting more complicated.
So here's the deal. It all boils down to this fundamental tension. On one hand, you have the business side, and they're all about efficiency. They need speed, they need constant innovation, they need new features to stay ahead of the competition. But on the other hand, you have the absolute demand for security. That means stability for your critical systems, safety for sensitive data, and the kind of reliability that your customers and your own employees depend on. It's like this classic tug-of-war, except dropping the rope is just not an option for anyone.
But this isn't the same tightrope walk it was 10 or even just 5 years ago. Oh no. The wire feels a lot thinner now, and the winds are blowing a whole lot stronger. So let's dive into why this balancing act has become more treacherous than ever before.
According to some recent Gartner research, IT leaders are basically facing a perfect storm. So, challenge number one, the sheer volume of new service requests. The business wants new apps, new tools, new everything, and of course, they wanted it yesterday. Number two, you've got the weight of what we call technical debt. All those clunky but mission-critical old systems that cost a fortune to maintain and just slow everything down. And finally, number three, there's this persistent skills gap. Teams often just don't have the people with the specialized know-how for all the new stuff like cloud architecture and AI.
And what happens if you slip? What's the real cost of a fall from that tightrope? Well, according to IBM, the average cost of a single data breach is this, a staggering $3.92 million. And look, that's not just a number on a spreadsheet. That's lost revenue, frantic repair costs, and a damaged reputation that can take years, if not forever, to rebuild. This is exactly why the security side of that rope is so non-negotiable.
Okay, so with challenges this huge, you need a lot more than just good intentions, right? You need a formal discipline. So let's talk about the framework that was designed specifically to manage all this complexity. IT Operations Management, or as we call it, ITOM.
So what exactly is ITOM? Well, Gartner will tell you it's a whole lot more than just a help desk fixing your laptop. Think of it as managing the entire life cycle of all your technology. We're talking from the second a new server is provisioned to constantly monitoring its performance and capacity, all the way to making absolutely sure it's always available when you need it most.
Now, a common point of confusion is the difference between ITOM and ITSM, which is IT Service Management. The easiest way to think about it is this. ITSM is the big picture, the entire life cycle of how IT provides services to the business. ITOM is a supercritical part of that. It's the service operations stage. It's the engine room that's doing all the day-to-day heavy lifting to keep the infrastructure and applications humming along.
All right, that's enough theory. We get the what. Now, let's get into the how. What does a modern, really effective ITOM playbook actually look like when you put it into practice?
Before you even think about any fancy, expensive tools, you have to nail the fundamentals. These are the three absolute non-negotiables. First, you need to implement multi-factor authentication everywhere you possibly can. Second, have a rock-solid, well-defined incident response plan. When things go sideways, and they will, everyone needs to know exactly what their job is. And third, you've got to conduct regular security awareness training. Your employees are a huge line of defense. Don't forget it.
And the impact of just getting these basics right, it's staggering. Get this. Microsoft says multi-factor authentication alone blocks over 99.9% of attacks on accounts. Just that one simple step is unbelievably powerful. And having a good incident plan, it can literally save you over $1 million during a breach. And training your team helps slam the door on the vast majority of malware attacks. See, these aren't just suggestions, they're mission-critical defenses. So for decades, the heart of ITOM was something called monitoring. Basically, you'd set up alerts for things you knew could go wrong, like, hey, tell me when CPU usage hits 90%, or let me know if this server goes offline. We call this watching for the known unknowns. You know a server could fail, you just don't know when. It's a reactive approach, but it's still absolutely necessary.
But here's the thing. Today's systems are just so ridiculously complex that only watching for known problems isn't nearly enough. The new gold standard is something called observability. This is all about exploring the unknown unknowns. So, instead of just waiting for an alarm bell to ring, you're collecting everything. All the performance metrics, the detailed event logs, the traces that show exactly how a request travels through your entire system. It's kind of like having a full system MRI that lets you diagnose problems you never even knew to look for in the first place.
And this is the kind of complexity we're talking about. Modern IT isn't just one big machine anymore. It's this crazy web of tiny services, cloud tools, and interconnected apps all talking to each other. Observability is basically the map and compass that lets you navigate this maze. It shows you how one tiny problem in a forgotten corner can create massive ripples across the entire system.
So, if observability gives us all the data we need to see everything, what's the next step? Well, it's adding intelligence to the mix. And that brings us to the next great leap in IT operations, AIOps, which stands for Artificial Intelligence for IT Operations.
This right here is the fundamental shift that AIOps makes possible. We're moving away from a world where IT teams are just constantly putting out fires and reacting to problems to one where they can genuinely start to predict and even prevent them before they ever affect a single user.
Now, AIOps platforms, they bring some incredible capabilities to the table. First, they can use predictive analytics to spot issues before they actually happen. Then, if something does go wrong, they can analyze massive amounts of data in seconds to find the true root cause, not just the symptom. And the final step is the most powerful. The system can start to fix issues all by itself, automatically, without waiting for a human to even wake up.
And that leads us to the ultimate goal, the real future of automated IT operations, self-healing systems. Just imagine an environment where an issue is detected, it's diagnosed, and it's resolved instantly by an automated workflow, all without a human ever having to lift a finger. This is huge. It means less downtime, less human error, and it frees up your awesome team to focus on high-value strategic work instead of just fighting fires. Okay, so all this talk of automation and self-healing systems might have you wondering, what about the people? What about my job? And that is an absolutely crucial question. So let's take a look at the human side of this whole evolution and the skills you're going to need to really thrive. Take a look at the skills you'll need for the future. Of course, the technical expertise in things like data science, the cloud, and security, that's still vital. But notice the other side of the chart. As automation starts taking over all the routine, repetitive tasks, it's the uniquely human skills, critical thinking, clear communication, collaboration that become the real game changers. Honestly, they become your superpower.
And really, this is the key takeaway. A truly successful ITOM strategy isn't just about going out and buying the latest, fanciest technology. It's a holistic approach. It's about perfectly integrating three core components: the right people with that right blend of skills, well-defined processes that allow for both speed and safety, and of course, the powerful technology that helps bring it all together.
And that leaves us with one final, pretty thought-provoking question. As we build these systems that are more and more autonomous, that are actually capable of self-healing, the role of the human operator is set to completely transform. It's going to be a big shift away from just firefighting and towards becoming strategists, architects, and innovators, the people who guide these intelligent systems to drive the business forward. So the question is, what does that future look like for you?